Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a Wednesday, December 11th edition of Established to Run's NBA Injury Analysis Show. We have another NBA Cup day on tap after a couple exciting games last night. So some two good matchups tonight, Atlanta at New York and Golden State at Houston. As always, joined by the encyclopedia, the professor, Mike Gallagher, to help break us down all of tonight's questionable tags. A lot for just a two-game slate, but how you doing today, Mike? How you feeling about tonight's two-gamer in the NBA Cup quarterfinals?
Yeah, doing great. Enjoyed the games last night. We were touting OKC to cover when that PJ Washington news hit. That was good. Flag planting Jalen Suggs, who has a career high game, was awesome. Feel like the takes are pretty good on the DFS show. Yeah, so it was a really nice night last night. The first game was a lot of fun, and then just OKC Avalanche. They're just so good, man. Sam and I will talk about that tomorrow on the pod, but OKC is too good, man. I mean, that was major playoff vibes with the intensity they played. Even just Case and Wallace running all over the place, Caruso diving on the floor. I just love watching OKC. But we got two good games tonight. Got some good defenses, got some interesting mismatches that we'll talk about. Should be fun to break down. And a lot of Q tags. Most of them are probably fake, but lots to talk through.
Absolutely. Let's get into it. NBA Cup does provide such a nice atmosphere and fun vibes in early December here for the NBA games. Love to see it. The players seem involved, and it's always great to hear you dive in on these two game slates and Drew as well, especially. So if you guys are just joining us on the free side here for the injury analysis, know that Drew and Mike are spilling even more goods behind the paywall in the evenings, and we'll get to that later on how to potentially subscribe to that. But let's start in New York tonight, where the Hawks are traveling to face the Knicks. The Knicks are pretty heavy favorites here at -8. Thought that was relatively interesting. On the Hawks side, they have Cody Zeller listed out. DeAndre Hunter and Trae Young are listed probable, so we can feel pretty good about them playing. And then a couple big questionable tags here. We have Jalen Johnson listed questionable with right shoulder soreness, and then Bogdanovich listed questionable with a left quad contusion. So, Mike, let's start with Jalen Johnson. What do you think about his potential availability tonight? He's just listed with shoulder soreness, so it seems like he should probably be able to play. But how are you reading this tonight in a big cup game in New York?
He did miss the last game, as did Bogdan. We'll talk about him in a second. And he's been in a bit of a shooting slump. This is his shooting shoulder. He's had some tape on it, so I think it's like a little bit of something that's nagging him. So I think he's gonna play. Obviously not sure. This is a new injury. He hasn't been listed with this before now, so definitely not sure on the severity of this. Maybe he had evaluation, all that stuff, but really no clarity yet. We'll see if he's out there, but expecting him to start. If he didn't start, I still think they would start with Larry Nance, but that the big thing would be DeAndre Hunter would be playing a significant role off the bench, kind of regardless. And then you go to Bogdan, quad contusion. He had a quad contusion on this leg last year around this time, and then that's his only time he's had a history here. He was out earlier this year for hamstring injuries, so this wasn't like an aggravation or anything like that. Likely just took a shot. There was some pictures of him, in gear. It looked like he was like close-ish. So it may just be a maintenance day. They didn't want to ramp him up. They've been playing a lot of minutes here. So yeah, expecting those guys in, expecting if they aren't in to tighten up here. I think they'll run their starting lineup to be the same. Obviously Trae, Dyson Daniels, who I expect to come close to matching the minutes of Jalen Brunson. He played 37 minutes against Brunson earlier this year. Zachary Risache, last time he was at the Garden, scored 33. Really the only game he scored over 20. So we'll see if he has the magic. Should note DeAndre Hunter didn't play in that game, so he's not scoring 32 today. And then, as I mentioned, Jalen Johnson would start. Clint Capella probably starting. We did see him lose his third quarter start. Quinn Snyder said after the game that they wanted to kind of mix up the matchups for Jokic for a little bit more agility. Cat's on the other side. Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be shocked, but still expecting Capella to start. But should note, too, it's Onyeka Okongwu's birthday today. We always love the birthday narratives. So, again, leaning Capella to start, and then their bench, really strong 8-man of Onyeka Okongwu, DeAndre Hunter, and Bogdan Bogdanovich. And I think that's it. I don't think they go to Krejci, who would be the 9th man in the lead, Garrison Matthews after that, and then maybe Kobe Buffkin. But we're leaning this to be pretty tight 8-man. It is a cup. Random note, we talked about cup grades. We talked about cup grades. How do we not come up with capitulation yet for that? So hopefully no capitulation from us with these takes. But yeah, I feel pretty good about where the Hawks are, and again, expect these guys to play.
Nice. Sounds good. Any limitations do you think on Bogdan if he were to return? He's listed with contusion a little bit better than probably a quad strain. So I think decent chance that he returns tonight. But do you think his minutes could be limited to like the low 20s, or you think he'd mostly be full go if he's out there?
It's a quad contusion, so I mean, there's concern. We wanted to juice him up more when we were dealing minutes, but this isn't like a hamstring pull or a calf pull. This is just like a day-to-day thing. So if he's
Yeah.
out there, I'd feel pretty good. He's going to be pretty full. And as I said, they've been routinely running 9, but with the way that this is the biggest game of the year, we think they run 8. So that 15, 16, 17 minutes we have around there is just getting juiced more into the benches, guys, and the starters. So, yeah, I feel pretty good he's got a chance to touch 30 if he's got it going. And should also note, the Knicks don't really have a lot of secondary wing scoring options. So you could kind of, cut down defense a little bit on the wing and get away with a little bit more.
Cool. And then I know last year a little bit we saw Onyeka Okongwu sometimes play the 4 alongside Clint Capella. And on the Knicks side, we could potentially get some Precious Achiuwa and Karl Anthony Towns. Do you think that is probably out the window now that the Hawks have Larry Nance Jr., or is that potentially on the table to get some Okongwu and Capella overlap?
Well, they actually did do it once last year against the Knicks, but this is different story there. So yeah, I think that was actually the only game they did it. But
Okay.
yeah, I feel pretty good they're not going to do that. We've got them split 48. We've seen Nance sneak in there, but Nance was not very good. They got completely roasted by Denver over the weekend. So yeah, I feel pretty good that Nance is kind of out unless Jalen Johnson doesn't play, and in which case I think he would start, but he'd basically just be keeping the seat warm for DeAndre Hunter, who would probably play 33, 34 minutes off the bench.
Sounds good. Let's head to the Knicks side here, where Mitchell Robinson remains out with the left ankle. Kevin McCullough Jr. listed out for the G League. My guy Boo Buie the third is left off the injury report, so he is available tonight if Tibbs decides to call on him. Karl Anthony Towns is probable tonight after being listed questionable on Monday with that right knee tendinopathy, so we can feel good about Cat playing tonight. He had a full workload on Monday as well, so pretty much no restrictions there. And then a big questionable tag here with Josh Hart, left ankle sprain. Questionable tags loom larger on the Knicks just since they play so tight. It opens up a lot more avenues to playing time for other guys. So what are you thinking on Josh Hart tonight with this left ankle sprain? He played the full game on Monday against the Raptors, but was limited to 32 minutes for Josh Hart. So what do you think about his potential to play tonight and any fallout there if he is unable to go?
Yeah, he probably has the most legit injury. I talked about Bogdan was an injury from a couple games ago. I think Jalen Johnson was wear and tear. We'll talk about Şengün in a second. He's got the most legit injury, but it's Josh Hart. I mean, this guy plays through a lot of stuff. I feel pretty good he's going to play. If he didn't play, and just more background, he rolled his ankle a bit in this Raptors game. That explains some of the 32 minutes there. He would have been 37 or so. So yeah, legit injury here. Listed with a sprain, leaning in. If he didn't play, I feel quite confident Deuce McBride would start and play a lot. I mean, there were the quotes last year when Deuce played 48. They're like, hey, he wasn't playing a lot. We're just going to play you a lot now. So like Deuce could start and potentially play mid 40s in the scenario Josh Hart did miss. If he did miss as well, that would get some more Precious overlap. We've seen him play a lot of minutes at the 4. Recently, he was he got some first quarter 4 minutes, power forward minutes, and then that's been pretty standard. So yeah, but again, expecting Hart in. Could get tight, could get real tight. If Hart plays, I could see a 7-man where they run Precious, Deuce, and then cut out Cameron Payne. But we still have Payne getting most of the non-Brunson minutes, have him in projections for now. But this could get pretty tight. Obviously, a huge game. They want to get the cup overall. Other than that, that's kind of where we're at.
For sure. And the Hawks, too, have a lot of size outside of Trae Young. Dyson Daniels pretty big for a 2-guard as well. So campaign, might not really match out there other than potentially being out there when Trae Young is as well. So could also see it cut down quite a bit. And you were on that for Monday's game as well. That Payne could potentially be the odd man out, and we could potentially see that tonight as well. I did think it was notable that Jalen Brunson is not listed on the injury report tonight either. After he went to locker room in Monday's game, he came back and seemed fine, closed out that game and not on the report. So can feel pretty good about him being full go tonight in the Garden for an exciting matchup. These NBA Cup games, just, the Garden, always a great environment, but should be a blast tonight in New York. All right, let's
to add to that too. It's worth noting, thanks for reminding me, that Cat also tweaked his ankle in this game. He was hobbling up and down the court, and he's not listed. He's listed with a knee thing that kept him. He had a Q tag for this game on the screen for a knee, but he rolled his ankle and was hobbling in pain. He got injured the same place Scotty Barnes. They collided. Scotty Barnes is out for a while now. So yeah, that's good to see. I think Cat. I would have put him as my cover boy for matchups, but we don't have a Cat Knicks picture yet in our database. Sorry to out the content team, but yeah, Cat's in a massive spot. I think he's going to be a full go in a matchup that I absolutely love for him.
Awesome. Yep. Great note. All right, let's head to the second matchup of the evening. I will say tonight, this Knicks Hawks game is on ESPN, and then the second game is on TNT. So last night, TNT got both. We get mixed providers tonight. So make sure when you're tuning in to flip over to TNT for the second game tonight, which is the Golden State Warriors at the Houston Rockets. Kind of an awesome matchup, I think, for an old contender in the West that is on their final legs, and then an up-and-coming contender in the Rockets here hosting. And the Rockets are 2-point favorites. The Warriors injury report has D'Anthony Melton listed out with ACL, and then Moses Moody out with the left knee injury. It's Moses Moody's first game missed this season, but he's been relegated to just a tiny role the last couple games, so won't be super notable. The bigger question mark here is Andrew Wiggins here listed questionable with right ankle impingement. We've seen this injury bother him the last couple games. He did miss the last game as well. So what can you tell me about Andrew Wiggins' potential to play tonight, and how do you think the starting lineup will look for the Warriors?
Yeah, the second question's way harder. The first question is pretty easy. So Kerr said that Wiggins is going to play. Wiggins told Mark Spears of ESPN that he's going to play. We saw him play through it. This is a nagging injury. It's a cup game. He's going to play. I feel pretty sure about that. The next question is really tough because I don't have a lot of confidence in my answer, but this is going to be fun to talk through. So obviously Steph's starting. Obviously Wiggins is starting. And then I'm not too sure. You would think you would not. Most of the time, I would have said, "Hey, Draymond's going to start." But go back last week, they were like, "Hey, we want to have Kuminga in the starting lineup, and we want to try this Draymond bench role." They scrapped that instantly, and then Looney's out there. Looney is in there, and then they pull him for Dre at the 5 to mix up the matchups. So it's going to be two of for sure: Draymond, Looney, Kuminga. I wouldn't be the chalk answer, I think, is Dre Minga. And had they not been playing Şengün, it would have been real chalk. But you got the Şengün layer to it. So I think that there's a chance that that would be my pick right now. They start Draymond, they have Looney at the 4. I'm sorry, Kuminga at the 4, Looney back him up, and then those guys kind of cover most of the minutes. Maybe we see a little bit of Kyle Anderson. Maybe we see a little bit of Trace Jackson Davis, whose minutes have been severely cut lately. So that hopefully it covers the front court. But don't be shocked if they bring Draymond off the bench to get some minutes early, because Draymond kind of embraced that. He said that his age maybe could help his minutes come down. Should note, Draymond got 31 minutes in this game. Just after a week when he said, "Hey, I got to get imaging on this calf. This is concerning." He comes back out there. He's full. He's talked about wanting to win a cup. I mean, Draymond could play a lot of minutes here, especially if he starts. Okay, so I hope that covers the front court. Backcourt, a lot going on here. So last game, Wiggins didn't play. I feel pretty strongly that Gary Payton, who played 27 minutes in this game, that is a ton for Gary Payton. That was a matchup assignment A because they wanted to have someone guard Anthony Edwards, and they didn't want to double, so they put that on his plate. So that would make you think that Wiggins was being replaced by Gary Payton. They do need a secondary guard defense. I don't know. They usually have been putting pods on Fred VanVleet for the last 2 games they've been playing. Steph Curry didn't play in both those games, as a random note. But so yeah, I'm leaning, and we already took a bet on this. We kind of front ran ourselves. I feel pretty good about Buddy Hield starting. There was a lot of commentary from Steve Kerr saying that they were really struggling on offense. And if you look at the data, just running this down, prior to their game, which they won, their percentiles on offense going backwards here. So their second most recent game, 3rd percentile, 21st percentile, 38th, 24th, 18. Their offense has been putrid. And they had a discussion with their analytics team saying they need to get more offense out there. We know they were really firing away 3-pointers. And they said that they think that Buddy could take pressure off Steph with the way they're going to trap him. So I feel pretty good that Buddy Hield's going to start. He just played 35 minutes. We don't have nearly that much in the projections as a hedge. But I honestly feel like pretty good that Buddy's going to start. And I talked to everything else there. So
yeah,
that's kind of their core guys. Just to wrap up, one more thing.
Sure.
So we think Lindy's in there. Obviously Moses is out, but Pods could be cut. Pods just played 20 minutes off the bench without Wiggins. So he's kind of down bad here. So yeah, like we said, we got the 6 starters. I feel pretty good about the front court. But yeah, famous last words, feeling good about a Warriors starting lineup, but I feel pretty good about it.
For sure. And just hearing you talk through it, I feel like there's probably some push and pull here with the offensive and defensive, matchups to who they start. So like if they start Gary Payton the second, I feel like they're more likely to start Draymond at the 5 and then Kuminga at the 4 to get a little more offense in there. And then if they started Buddy, maybe we see Looney at the 5 and Dre off the bench potentially. Just to kind of mix and match, because putting both Peyton and Looney out there offensively is a tougher ask at least. Do you think there's any credence to that or that thought process?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that they want to try to break up the playmaking, which that's kind of my point with Draymond. If you have Draymond off the bench, you could run this, Steph heavy pick and roll stuff with Looney, put Şengün in actions that way, and then have some secondary shooting in the form of Wiggins, who shot the ball way better this year, and Buddy. So that's a pretty clean offense to run. And then you have the Draymond second unit where they run a lot of motion, all the split actions they like to run with Draymond. That would be kind of a big second unit staple. So yeah, I definitely, like I said, I don't feel great about anything here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be. Like, I don't think they can start GP2 and Looney. Like, there's just not enough shooting there.
Right.
So, like, if you started Buddy, like I was saying, I think, like, if you made me pick lineups, I would go Steph, Buddy, Wiggins, Kuminga, Dre, and then I would go. But I think honestly, the second most likely lineup is Draymond off the bench, and that's probably a take for sure.
It is wild just knowing that this is a big game, an NBA Cup game, and to have Draymond Green, such a franchise cornerstone coming off the bench seems a little galaxy brain to me. But we know Steve Kerr can get there as well.
Yeah.
So that would be a surprise, I think, to me, just in a game with these stakes on the road. But it's certainly interesting process to talk through. I will ask one more thing here on the Warriors is I know they were mixing in a lot of 12-man rotations, and it seems like they've kind of gone away from that. Do you think with this being a cup game that they can still go full 10-man? I know you mentioned pods could get cut out completely. Like, what do you think the range is here on how many players get in this rotation tonight?
Yeah, there was some comments from Steve Kerr. We've seen it tighten a little bit, right? Like, look, they basically ran an 8-man in this last game, and that was without Wiggins. So, I mean, they cut out a lot of guys. Trace Jackson without Wiggins. Lindy played too much because they probably weren't going to play Lindy that much, but Moses Moody hurt his knee and got pulled out. So I feel pretty good. We talked about this kind of early last week where, Kerr's kind of that really the breaking point was Steph Curry saying, like, basically, we got to stop doing this.
Yeah.
We don't have enough rhythm with our guys. I mentioned the offensive stats. So, yeah. And then just one more thing to add to, they keep messaging this Kuminga as a 4, which is really the whole reason why I'm talking about this. They're saying we got to get Kuminga as a 4. Kuminga's been playing great. Scored a career high against the Rockets in the last game. So you've got that. So like I said, I feel pretty good Kuminga's going to start. Very, very famous last words. But do you want to pull this guy who's, your young cornerstone piece, and like when he's playing the best basketball he's playing a bit, not making errors, do you want to pull him out? I kind of don't think so. So yeah, dying on Kuminga Hill is, it could be pretty treacherous out there, but I feel okay about it.
For sure. Yeah. So to wrap it all up, I think we can land on that. The most likely starting lineup we think is Steph Curry, Buddy Hield, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, and Draymond Green. And then potentially next up after that would be Gary Payton in over Buddy Hield, and then a potential for Draymond to come off the bench for Looney as well if Buddy is starting.
Yep.
Awesome. Let's head over to the Rockets side where we have some lingering questionable tags as well. Nobody listed out here, but 4 questionable tags. The biggest switch of being is Alperen Şengün listed questionable with left knee soreness. We also have Jayshawn Tate questionable with lower back pain. Cam Whitmore questionable with left wrist contusion. Those two haven't necessarily been in the rotation much, so don't necessarily need to talk about them. And then Steven Adams also questionable here with right knee injury recovery. So let's just start with Şengün. Obviously, one of the cornerstones here for the Rockets. What do you think about his potential availability tonight? And if he were not able to go, who would fill in his place?
Well, he was at shoot around. That news has recently come out, but it's interesting that there was a really interesting quote from Ime Udoka saying like that he's got to play through stuff and like not cry about it, which was pretty stunning to say. But yeah, pretty sure he's going to play. Pretty sure. I mean, it's a huge game. He plays through stuff too. So expect him to play. He's had a wide range here. One game he was great. And then the other game, he was terrible. Didn't close. They closed small with Amens playing in his spot as well. So, yeah, feel pretty good about Şengün playing. So, starting lineup will be this is the last game they didn't have Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet's not listed. Tari Eason also cleared concussion. He's been doing on-court activities since, I think, the 7th. Never really serious. Like, we didn't even know he got hit in the head. He got in an off-court incident, and that was the headline. And then, boom, all of a sudden he's out with a concussion. So he got cleared pretty quick to me. We have him unlimited. So we expect Fred and Tari to be completely full, pretty full Şengün, except for a teensy bit of risk of him, losing his closing duties here, which again, as I mentioned, happened 2 games ago against the Warriors. So yeah, starting lineup should almost certainly be Fred, Jalen Green, Şengün, Dillon Brooks, who I saw the note. Dillon Brooks will be guarding Steph. Steph got him pretty good the last 2 games. Steph's had some pretty good numbers against Dillon Brooks there. Jabari, who's playing great. And I think that covered my 5. So that's the 5. Obviously, Tari and Amen will be their core 6-7 guys. And do they play anybody else? I don't know if they do. They might just run 7. We've seen Amen off the bench. He played 34 off the bench against the Warriors in one of these games. He's been touching mid-30s. Tari plays, low. They might just run this thing 7 here. And my sneaky take of the day, which has set our Slack on fire, I think Aaron Holiday plays ahead of Reed Sheppard. I think we've seen him be a really good on-ball defender. I think that he could be like Dillon Brooks insurance to give them more guys to throw at Steph, and adding another on-ball defender. So my hot take of the day, and this is a guy who said Draymond could come off the bench. I think Aaron Holiday could get minutes, and I think Reed Sheppard could get really cut down. Reed Sheppard has not been able to produce at the NBA level yet. He's so undersized. He struggled defensively. We know the Warriors are going to make the ball movement like crazy. So yeah. And then I don't think Steven Adams is playing regardless. I think they're just going to let Tari and Jabari handle the 4 or 5 minutes exclusively. And those guys could play a lot.
So yeah, if you think it could potentially be a 7th man, if we go to the 8th man here, you think the most likely one is Aaron Holiday?
That's my hot take. We don't have that in projections. That's my hot take is Aaron Holiday's the 8th man. We don't have that projected. This is a hot take from me, but we'll have a lot of bets out there. Hopefully we have 6, 7, 8, 9 bets today. I'm going to be rooting really hard just for Aaron Holiday to check in with the takes I'm letting off right here today. So, but yeah, we'll see if that's kind of how I feel. But yeah, I think this is going to be really, really tight. We've seen this team really cares about the cup, so it should be pretty. I think honestly, it might just be 7 man. We may not see Aaron Holiday at all.
Yeah, I think we could definitely see that. And these teams are going to have a lot of rest as well. I wanted to mention that with Josh Hart and the ankle thing too. They play tonight, and I think the earliest they could possibly play is Saturday. If not, it would be Sunday or Monday. So I think these teams will continue to play tight in the NBA Cup games. Play through these nagging injuries, and they have a few days to rest up. Not in the midst of a grueling NBA season that we typically see. Some of these guys maybe take it easy for a night. So again, just a lot of added intrigue and excitement around these NBA Cup games that fans can be excited about, and fun too that Houston is hosting this game as well. Such a massive matchup against the Warriors.
Yeah, really. And we should note too, the Warriors have beat the Rockets 15 straight times.
That's right.
And including two games without Steph in both of them, which that was a tough L for me. Rockets shot 20% from 3 when they couldn't score.
Trent's better is going to be all over this Warriors money line then as underdogs.
Oh, yeah. Bring it on. I'm on the Rockets.
All right. Well, that will do it for this edition of the Established to Run NBA Injury Analysis Show. As always, we ask for your support and promoting this free content by liking the video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. It really does mean a lot to us at ETR to have your support. Please just take the 3 seconds it takes to smash that like button and help support all the great work that Mike and the NBA team are doing behind the scenes as well. Feeding the Algo helps feed our families and allows us to provide this type of insight for free on a daily basis. If you have interest in getting access to our behind the paywall content, we have plenty of great stuff. Mike has teased his matchups column a few times. That is up tonight for this and in a lot of depth as well for this 2-game slate. Great stuff there. We also have, top plays each and every day, our NBA props package. If you do have interest in subscribing to our props package, please be sure to read the FAQ as well. But yeah, if you want to head to support us behind the paywall, you can go to establishedrun.com/subscribe-NBA and support us that way. Otherwise, enjoy the NBA Cup games. Should be another exciting night of basketball. That will do it for us today. Have a good one, everybody. Peace out.